Hey, my handsome ladies and gentlemen, this is Shmeaty, and in today's video, expert rank has been achieved. That is correct, I am no longer washed. Creating content has not been so kind to my ELO. However, I will say, this is a very standard Dragon Double Steel line. Kingdra, Ferrothorn, ESCAVALIER, there's no reason for any of them to be Shadow as well. And if you guys do want to run this team, I strongly recommend it, as I went from 2535 ELO to 2784 ELO running this team over the weekend in the Fossil Cup. If you guys find enjoyment in today's video, please feel free to leave it a like and subscribe, but without keeping it too much longer, let's just get into these matches. Just a disclaimer, you're going to see some pre- and post-expert gameplay in today's video, but nevertheless, kicking things off with game number 1, Kingdra is going to lead into a Mantine. Not the best lead for the Mantine, so they are going to safe switch into an ESCAVALIER, and this is telegraphing that this could be one of those very infamous double counter lines. And if it is, I kind of want to at least get a shield from this ESCAVALIER by throwing the Octazooka. You're going to hear me refer to it as Zook pretty commonly here, so just fair warning. The Zook does get the debuff. Same debuff chance as left Tyrando, by the way. Nevertheless, they're going to fire off the drill run, but I know that I can no-shield that and farm all the way down. And if they want to bring in the Mantine, that's cool by me. I have 2 aerial aces loaded for this Mantine, and just before they get to the wing attack, or the aerial ace I should say, I'm going to fire off aerial ace number 1. Hoping that they do throw under tap and throw the aerial ace on alignment there, hoping I don't have another one. I go for aerial ace number 2, but they were smarter than that, and I am going to be able to build up to aerial ace number 3. ESCAV doing some absolute heavy lifting in this game, and they are going to bring in their third. It is going to be Lucario, and Lucario is going to fire off a move here. If this is a Thunder Punch, I die, but it's a Power Up Punch. I shielded a Power Up Punch. That does not feel very good. I am going to fire off this Zook, and now, fingers crossed, can we get the debuff? This wins me the game. The debuff comes through, and in comes ESCAVALIER in an attempt to get some extra counter damage here, just to ensure that this Lucario is in Power Whip range. Moment of truth as well. If they're on Blaze Kick, I would die, but they're not on Blaze Kick, and we're going to be able to outpace to the Power Whip. Power Whip is going to be more than enough to KO the Lucario. Very frail Pokemon is the Lucario. In comes the Mantine just to get farmed down. GG's. 2 things I hate in this cup are Lantern and Ludicolo. Unfortunately, both of them are top meta contenders, but that was what this team was built around. So I am going to have my Kingdra, of course, aligned onto the Lantern in the lead. However, this isn't the worst matchup you would think. You always want to no-shield that first. In case they go for a Bozo bait there, you can just no-shield, and then they're in a really awkward spot. But nevertheless, we can just build up to the outrage, force a shield from the Lantern, and although we don't have switch advantage, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to bring in Ferrothorn, and they're going to bring in Kingdra. I believe this is this team's designated safe switch, but that's not going to help them very much given the fact that there is now a Ferrothorn aligned onto it, and we are just going to commit to the Bullet Seed down. That Power Whip did insane amounts of damage, and I have 2 shields here. I might as well use them somewhere. I'm going to put up a shield on the outrage. That would have done massive damage, even though it is resisted. That's a Shadow Kingdra on your screen. Of course it would have done massive damage. What were you thinking, trainer? Nevertheless, they're going to bring in Poliwrath, and for some reason I decided to fire off the Thunder. Power Whip into water types, by the way, is just better DPE, unless the Thunder is double super effective. I'm going to fire off a Power Whip here. This will do big damage onto the Poliwrath, and I still have a shield left over. They are going to be able to fire off a move here. Honestly, I'm going to no-shield. Oh my goodness. They dynamic punch me, but it just doesn't matter because I'm going to reach the drill run, and Lantern is going to get absolutely blasted. GG's. We're going to be hopping into game number 3, and yes sir, this is the Pokemon we actually built this team to counter. And even better, they're going to switch into a matchup which is not much better. They're going to bring in Golisopod, but Golisopod in the Great League has little to no bulk to speak of, so we are going to build up to just before the outrage, fire off the Zook. Moment of truth, how pristine is this trainer's counting? Octazooka will grab the shield and grab the debuff. Things are going so terribly wrong for this trainer, and now they can throw a move and commit to a farm down here, so I'm just going to no-shield it. Even though they'll leave with energy, the energy is double debuffed, and they are going to throw again. Oh no, the humanity! Aerial Ace is gonna KO my Kingdra, but I'm just gonna take this farm down opportunity on my Ferrothorn. What is it they want to bring in? It's the Poliwrath, and oh no. All things are going wrong for the opposing trainer. My Go Plus Plus is going crazy in the backspin and Pokestops. We are going to grab the shield, bring in the ESCAVALIER here, but we have two shields. There's not a lose con in sight for me. They are going to bring in the Ludicolo. Ludicolo, though, is actually meeting its biological father in ESCAVALIER. ESCAVALIER paces so much quicker to the Aerial Aces than Ludicolo does to its moves. Ludicolo, as I've learned, does take 13 Razor Leafs to get to a move, so the pacing on that thing is absolutely atrocious. You just want to use it for the fast move pressure, and that's what this trainer was hoping to do. Nevertheless, they are going to bring in the Poliwrath, but there's just nothing Poliwrath can do, and even now, we're gonna disrespect them even harder by no-shielding a potential dynamic punch. Oh, the humanity, GG's. Last trainer was running AAA water types that were weak. All of them were weak to flying as well. Oh my goodness. Nevertheless, we are going to lead Kingdra into the Mantine. Very familiar lead. I'm lagging a little bit, so you're going to see me swipe down on my screen, turn off the Wi-Fi there, because I don't want to, I experience a lot more lag when I have my Wi-Fi on than my data. Some people it's the opposite. It's perfectly fine. Nevertheless, we are going to Zook and get the debuff. They called my Zook, but the fact that we get the debuff here might actually mean that this isn't the worst thing ever, because I'm going to be able to reach another Zook, so they are going to recognize that and fire off some energy. Kingdra here is just going to no shield, and now I just bring in whatever I want and get a farm down. They may be able to make a last second move here, but they are not. The perfect farm down from the ESCAVALIER, and what is it they have in the back? It's going to be the Poliwrath, but I have such an energy lead over this Poliwrath that I am not afraid of it. Aerial Ace number 1 would likely grab the shield, but this Poliwrath is surprising me by not shielding the first. They are a debuffer, so I would assume that they would shield the first. Nevertheless, they are going to fire off what's likely to be an Icy Wind. They always Icy Wind there, as they can usually Icy Wind and counter down, but not with that absolutely succulent farm down they allowed my ESCAVALIER to get onto their Mantine. Nevertheless, Aerial Ace number 2 going to grab the shield. They're going to fire off a move onto my Ferrothorn. I do not have to shield this, as it would just be an Icy Wind as they threw that into the Escav, and Escav was nearly at 1 HP. That's the cheaper move that they run if they're not Shadow. So they are going to bring in their own Ferrothorn, but up on energy here, I'm not in the worst spot ever. This isn't particularly good, but this isn't particularly bad either. We are debuffed, however, which is not the best situation for me to be a part of. But they are going to fire off the Thunder, and this is probably the most boring gameplay you guys have ever seen, so I mean, how's the weather for you guys? It's pretty hot over here. Anyway, Thunder onto the Ferrothorn is not going to do very much damage at all. We're well below half HP, they're well above half HP, but I am going to continuously no-shield, as I know ESCAVALIER is my win con here. I'm not in fear of any bullet seed down here, as I'm double resisting these bullet seeds, and Ferrothorn is finally going to be able to make a move here, but we are okay with this. We can just shield this up. And now, we are at the back-to-back Aerial Aces, and Aerial Ace will KO the Ferrothorn from this range. They don't think we have the back-to-back, but we do. And Aerial Ace will comfortably KO the Ferrothorn from this range. GG's to this trainer. Alright, into this next game, and it is going to be a bit of a surprise on the lead. Shadow For Alligator. Now, Shadow For Alligator, of course, is a menace in the Open Great League, and even the Open Ultra League, but it's not that good in this limited meta, and the reason for that is because the Pokemon on top, really ruling the meta, is Shadow Poliwrath, or regular Poliwrath. And honestly, all of this energy is resisted if you're running a Shadow For Alligator. So we are going to fire off the Zook and grab a shield from the For Alligator, but this really isn't a good spot to be in. I'm going to bring in Ferrothorn, hope for a Bullet Seed down, and I think I can get it. If I get the correct shield here, and I shield up the Ice Beam, I'm cooking. I shield up the Ice Beam, and that means they're not going to be able to make another one. They are staying in here and allowing me to farm them down, but I'm going to no-shield this. I'm calling your shot. This is not an Ice Beam. It's a Hydra Cannon, and we're going to live that quite well. They are going to bring in a Lucario, and they are force-palming their way right through my cheeks, but I am going to fire off this Thunder. Thunder will grab a shield, and I have an even better response in the back. It is going to be my Escav. Now they are going to fire off a move onto me here. It is the Blaze Kick, and I'm so happy I shielded. it's going to be a Swampert in the back, and I have to drill run nigh immediately. This drill run, will it pick up the KO? No, it will not, but this is perfect. This is a farm down range for my Ferrothorn, and if we can leave with a Thunder, we might just be able to clap back versus the Lucario. Moment of truth, can we make it? We get Force Palm down. GG's. Alright, here's some of the post-expert gameplay we were talking about at the beginning of the video, and it's going to be Kingdra into probably one of its worst matchups ever, into a Ferrothorn. Now this is pretty bad for me. I'm going to let them throw 5 Bullet Seeds, bring in my own Ferrothorn, but I mistimed it so I don't get my Bullet Seed through. That's pretty unfortunate, but we are going to catch the double resisted Power Whip. I am going to see them switch into a Mantine, but this is okay. I know that they are always in fear of a Thunder here, so I'm going to build up just a little bit and fire off a Power Whip. This Mantine would have to be an absolute mad lad to call this bait, so they are going to put up a shield onto my Power Whip, and we are going to build up to another move. But fortunately, I'm going to be able to take both shields here. This is not Aerial Ace range. I'm going to be low, but I'm not going to be quite low enough. We're going to build up one more Bullet Seed for absolutely no reason and fire off this Thunder. Now this Thunder, of course, would KO the Mantine from full, so they are going to commit the shield there. And now I'm just going to bring back in Kingdra. I know that they have that ESCAV, that Ferrothorn on lead, but they don't have any shields. So I could just bring an ESCAV whenever that thing decides to show its face, and I'm in a pretty okay spot. They're going to bring back in the Ferrothorn, maybe hoping to catch an Outrage from me, but that's not going to happen. I'm just going to bring in my ESCAVALIER here. Look to shield up a potential Thunder. They Power Whip bait me though, and that's not the best. I'm going to build up to the CMP tie with their next move. Fire off the Aerial Ace, and this Aerial Ace is going to pick up the KO, and we've taken such minimal damage on our ESCAV. Energy management on this Pokemon is absolutely important if you are going to try to run it in this cup. They're going to fire off a move here. I don't know what's in back quite yet, so I am going to no-shield, and I am going to now have to shield up this Aerial Ace, as this would get me devastatingly low in farm down range for practically anything in the meta. They're going to bring in a Jellicent, and this is not good for me. Jellicent is pretty bad for ESCAV to see. You do have to throw quite a few moves into the jelly in order to KO. Oh, and you can probably hear there's a big smile on my face. In comes the Kingdra with so much energy loaded. Outrage, blast that jelly out of the water, and we're going to be able to reach a Zook versus the Mantine. This will not KO, but the Dragon Breath after would, and to add insult to injury, we get the debuff. GG's. Into this next game, and what the hell is that? This player running some absolute sauce. This is the Quack of All, and they are going to build up 6 wing attacks here. I don't believe this is enough for a close combat, but you're going to see me shield it anyway. They're going to fire off an Aerial Ace bait and bring in their Lantern. But what I can do here is fire off no energy at all, save all that energy, and bring in Ferrothorn, which is probably Lantern's hardest answer in the meta. Ferrothorn is easily going to be able to absorb the Thunderbolt, shaking that damage off, no problem. And we're just going to build well past not well past back-to-back moves, but we're going to build up to the back-to-back moves at 100 energy and just fire off a Power Whip then. We are going to get to it on alignment, so not the best timing ever, but honestly, I'm at 100 energy. What do you expect from me? I'm going to fire off the Power Whip. It's going to do big damage onto the Lantern, get the KO, and they bring in their own Ferrothorn. This is a little tricky, but there's honestly, the momentum in this game is all ours, so all we have to do here is just continue to stay in, soak all the damage from the Ferrothorn, and just keep firing off Thunders to get some chip onto them. These Thunders, although are resisted, are getting the Ferrothorn into a really nice range where ESCAV can come in at any point and just farm down. They are going to go ahead and farm us down, but we just bring in ESCAV. They're going to fire off a move, but I'm a lot more afraid of energy on the Quack of All than I am afraid of energy on this. Back in comes the Quack of All. We are going to bring in our Kingdra and fire off this Zook. Zook is going to get no shielded, but it gets the debuff. Oh no, Quack of All in absolute shambles. They're going to fire off a move here, and honestly, close combat going to probably still be enough to KO a Kingdra from full, even though they were double debuffed, but they are going to resign the match. GG's. Alright, again, another game, another Ferrothorn lead. Kingdra having a pretty tough time with these leads, but this is okay. We're just going to build up just before they get to 5 Bullet Seeds and catch onto our Ferrothorn what should be a Power Whip. We're going to get the screenshot for the boys later, and that is absolutely massive. Also, One thing to keep in mind is where there is a Ferrothorn, there is a Lantern, and oftentimes where there's a Lantern, there's a Ferrothorn in this meta. So Ferrothorn does have a lot of value, but we have so much energy on our Kingdra, and we have our Escav, which can hit for super effective, that I'm okay with safe switching my Ferrothorn here, because I know they're kind of checkmated by a Ferrothorn on the safe switch. So I am going to build up to the Thunder, fire off yet another Thunder here, and this is going to do some solid damage, getting them pretty low. Probably even into a range where if they threw their energy straight away, Kingdra can probably come in and farm down. Although, I may decide against that. Nope, I'm going to bring in Kingdra, and in comes a Quagsire just before they're going to be able to fire off their Mud Bomb. Most Quagsires in this meta are going to be on Mud Bomb and Stone Edge, by the way. Oh, the debuff! Reason being for that is because Poliwrath is ever present in this meta. They're going to fire off a Stone Edge onto my Kingdra, but double debuff that's going to do nearly no damage at all. They're going to fire off another move here. I'm going to no-shield it. This is only going to be a Mud Bomb, which is not going to KO. We're going to bank a bunch of energy for later, bring in the ESCAVALIER, and once again, this energy's double debuff. Escav with 2 shields is an absolute monster in this cup. What is it they want to bring in? It's going to be the Jelly, but honestly, Jelly is going to have to start respecting moves from this Escav pretty soon. They do have 2 shields, but so do we. We're going to fire off our Drill Run, going to do big damage onto the Jellicent here, and this is perfect. I'm going to put up a shield, of course, on the Surf. This would do big damage to us. We're going to fire off an Aerial Ace, as I believe the way to win this matchup is actually Drill Run, double Aerial Ace. They are going to shield the Aerial Ace, which is good for us. That's our less expensive move. And we are going to put up a shield once again onto this Surf. Build up just a little bit more energy here. Bring in the Kingdra for the CMP sac-swap. Oh my goodness. That wasn't enough energy for the Outrage. They didn't know that. They commit their last shield, and the CMP sac-swap is successful. No amount of an undercharge is going to save our Kingdra from getting KO'd there. We're going to throw our energy on poor timing. Opponent throws 1 and waits the turn to catch onto their Ferrothorn. That may spell GG's for this game. We need them to be 3 away, and we get to 4 counters and the Drill Run to seal the victory here. GG's. If you guys made it to this point in the video, thanks so much for watching. It's nearing the 18-minute mark, so I'm going to try to wrap this up quickly. There comes a point in every season where I make a stupidly cracked team for absolutely no reason, and I haven't seen this team run by anyone else, so I did want to make a video on it. I had a lot of success with it. I think you guys will have a lot of success with it if you decide to run it, and honestly, Kingdra on paper doesn't seem as if it's very good into this meta. It doesn't have a particularly nice matchup into Mantine, Poliwrath, and Ferrothorn, which are top meta threats. But being propped up by 2 steel types actually makes it feel like it can take on the entire meta. And Octazooka can sometimes just take games away by itself if it gets a debuff. But all that being said, thanks again so much for watching. This has been Shmeaty. Hope to see you guys again next time, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.